yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a snappy opener, and I just don't have any. So, today I'm back to all signs. Oh look, Pouvier, I just got out of the shower. That's a terrible way to start. It's like quaff. So I'm going back to doing readings for all signs, which I sort of like because, you know, the energies, whatever they are, show up anyway. And it always feels a little constraining to do it for a one sign. And just to point out, when we do that, you know, reading for Virgo or Leo or whoever it is, in the course of the read, a lot of signs will pop up. So pay attention to those energies and where they might be in your chart. You should look at, I think, Sun, Moon, Rising, and North Node are the three that I check personally when I'm doing it, and I resonate a lot with my North Node, which is a fire sign. Everything else is like earth, earth, earthy, earth, earth, fire. I like, you know, so I like that for balance. So yeah, pay attention to the energies and just what characters in the storyline you identify with. I think I am gonna do, I hadn't really planned on it, but I think I will, comparing two energies. And it might be within yourself, but it very well might be between you and somebody else, somebody you're close to, and somebody that you're just really feeling like you need insight into the dynamic that's ever shifting. I mean, it just is. We just never get to the place where we can say, this is it forever. You know, not on this side of the river. So there, that's something to think about. And the two kind of prompts that came to me this morning were, first, the idea of radical trust. Because at a certain point, you do what you can, you understand as much as you can, you tap your own wisdom and all of that, and then at some point you're just like, right, okay, you have to sort of, you know, throw the line to somebody else. And radical trust, and there was something about the water finding its way, like, you know, it will find its way to the sea. It will find the easiest course. It flows, and it doesn't sort of, there's a great line in, I think it's out of Africa, and Karen von Blixen says, you know, we're going to dam up this river and make a reservoir to feed the cattle or whatever it was, and against the advice of the people, the native people actually knew about how stuff went, and they said it won't work. You know, this river belongs in Mombasa or wherever. And she said, no, you know, get the sandbags out. We're gonna control it. And then there's a heavy rain. The rains come, as they tend to, and the cyclical thing that you'd know if you actually lived there. And the sandbags are washed out. And for a while, they keep putting on more sandbags and and trying to hold it. And finally, she says, Meryl Streep says, you know, forget it, never mind. This river lives in Mombasa. You know, this water belongs in where it was meant to flow. So there's something about that, the radical trust of knowing that the water, the emotions, the life force, the flow will find its way. Will find its way. Slipstream. So here we go. We're about halfway through. Yeah, about halfway through March. Maybe not quite, but coming up on Ides of March, you know. Let's see where it takes us. Radical trust. Yep, that was fast, but it's saying yes. First card out. Hermit. That is radical trust. Radical in its root meaning is the root of the thing. You know, you'd think it would be like, well, the offshoot, but it's to do with, that's what my brain is telling me about the root meaning of the word radical is root. But in any case, this is radical trust in the sense of trusting in your ability to tap into the truth, the enlightenment. And I have to say the other thing that occurred to me, and I don't want to get into a big long rap about it, but you know, divination, that the root word of that is divine. And the idea of the divination of the oracle, be it cards or reading the tea leaves or the bones or the shape in the clouds or whatever it is about your ability as an individual to connect to that higher thing. Not through a clergy, not through an intermediary like I don't know. I mean, yes, there are wise teachings, and that's sort of what Hermit card is, but it's also about going inward for it. Divination. And the organized religion doesn't look highly on this. There's a reason they put people on the pyre, you know. And to this day, a lot of people, you know, what do? I read tarot cards. Right, that's what you do. And it's hard for me even to say that's what I do. You know, because you're opening yourself up to some kind of possibility for judgment. Well, this one is about going away from that societal thing to touch base with your own knowing. That's Hermit. Sorry, apparently I have something in my tooth. So it's a card of Virgo, and I don't have enough room to show you, so I'll just have to say, hold this in your head, Virgo, Hermit, lighting the path. And it would entail a radical trust to pull yourself out of your circumstance, to look inward and believe you're going to find the enlightenment. Because if you don't believe it, if you don't look, if you just assume, I have no connection with it, what is that? Divine? What is that? I have no connection to it. Well, yes, you do. But sometimes you have to get very quiet to hear it, to see it. King of Wands. Well, if you were to light the path, this is the guy who would, I mean, it's a fire sign, so there is that right away, that sort of resonance. But it's also like, who would take action and march down that path in a authentic kind of hearts on fire way? King of Wands. So it's sort of almost the two aspects of anybody's self. This inward turning for knowledge, you know, away from groupthink, away from other influences, and then coming back down and acting on it. And I think King of Wands is, you know, in many ways very open-hearted. It's an open-hearted energy. It's not a Cups energy, but it's warm. I'll say 10 of Cups. Evidently it is a Cups energy. You know, there it is. And this is, you know, the place where we can come together, where we dance, where we rejoice. It's here, we all see it. We're warm, we're loved. And it's not hermit energy, you know, it's not this sort of solitude. You come back down, you put it into action, and then it's like good times were had by all, you know. One more. And again, another card of Virgo. Hermit's Virgo, this is Virgo. And boy, these two have been popping up a lot together. And rather than it just being like the sign of Virgo, it's both suggesting an independence. You know, breaking away to get a revelation that's yours. It's not what you've been told or taught from an outside person. It's the lesson from inside. You're both student and teacher. You're lighting your own path, and you're lighting paths for somebody else. Look at the wand. Look at the torch that's in his hand. How bright could that burn? And there are all around him these sort of lizard creatures. And there is a suggestion with wands of the kind of reptilian brain in the sense of basic needs, you know, for warmth, for food, for love, for procreation, for sleep, except this guy doesn't sleep very much, but you know what I mean. It's those sort of basic life force energies. That's how you could say it. But it's bracketed. This King of Wands, 10 of Cups, by two independent energies. So what you do in the world needs to be grounded, Virgo, earth energy, grounded in your own understanding. What you've come to understand. And then you can put it into action in a way that makes everybody happy. And also, you know, you're independent, Virgo energy, but also somehow this group of people that come together and are happy are also each one self-contained. Like it's not like you know, all colors bleed into one. That's a lovely song. But this is something about your own authenticity isn't lost in this wash of feelings on the part of a lot of people. You don't get, you know, sort of blurred or watered down or anything like that. This is the opposite of watered down. So something that's really a really loving environment and yet allows you to maintain your independence. As all really loving environments do. They don't like snuff out your independence. If they do, you're in the wrong place. You know, run, don't walk to your nearest exit. Oops. Let's see what that's about. World. Which is both an exit point and an entry point. It's both. It's how to go on to the next thing. You know, how to exit one thing, enter another. And I'm getting for some reason, the image of airlock. You know, in the sense that I think you might go on to another and another and another, but you're not going to go backwards. I don't really understand the airlock yet. Except that Hermit would be sort of a kind of an airlock in the sense that other concerns can't get at you. You need to go into a place where you can turn inward and not sort of be have your attention pulled away. And World is right under Hermit. Both major arcana. let's keep going. Tell us about this, the King of Wands energy, this I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it to it. What are you going to do? What do you have in mind, King? Okay. Queen of Wands, meeting your match. I mean, this is like the person who's perfectly matched to you. You're mirroring each other. She doesn't go out and do it, you know, she doesn't sort of walk door to door doing something. She is a receptive energy. She does what she wants. She's not in any way pushed around by the, I mean, she would, you know, she has that independence of the Nine of Pentacles. She's not pushed around. She doesn't chase. Nine of Pentacles person doesn't either, because they have everything they need. They have all the resources they need. This is a highly intuitive, creative, power couple, life force energy. They certainly don't quash each other's light, fire energy. They magnify each other's light. The light. They light each other's path. They light the path that brings them together, without, you know, melding into one big glob. There's some, you know, separate but inseparable kind of tone to this. Highly intuitive. Aries, Leo, Sag. All the fixed signs. Taurus, Aquarius, Leo, and somebody else who I always forget. Tell us about the Ten of Cups, please. This place of happiness that involves a lot of love, a lot of connections. It's got the children dancing. It's got the couple going, ah. It's got this rainbow of cups. Moon, deep feelings. Cups energy, water energy. I think it's Pisces. But it's being, you know, comfortable in moving in this very emotional, you know, there certain people in certain circumstances don't feel comfortable even with an overflow of loving feeling. Can make some people kind of contract. But this is the willingness to go, to be able to, you can tolerate this, and not everybody can. Where the emotions are so, like your heart's gonna burst. Where you love so much it hurts. Because you know, I know that feeling. So Ten of Cups is an overflow of feelings, and this is as well. And there is a tendency to read this card as fearful. I've almost never seen it in a context where that made sense to me. You know, maybe only in the sense of it's not quite entered your conscious mind yet. It's still in that sort of liminal space between dream and waking, between, you know, the parts of us that carry on below the waterline, below what we're conscious of with our analytical brains, with our logic. This is not that. Below the waterline, I like that. And remember we were saying something about water, where'd it go? The water finds its way, finds, level. If it's high and there's a drop off, it doesn't say, no, I'm going to reverse. I mean, there is actually a falls near here that does a sort of reverse falls, but that's to do with the tide. So there are influences that can change the flow, interrupt the flow. There are eddies, there are, water energy is dynamic. It's not, I suppose there's ice and things like that that appear not to be in the flow. But if circumstances change a bit, it can be a liquid, it can be steam, it can be, it expresses differently. And I just don't see this as, the wolves are howling here, and there's something about the call, the pack. I mean, this is a little bit of the pack. The pack. You call to each other to say, I'm here, I'm here. And if this is supposed to be fearful, I think it's that call and response that makes it not scary. Because we're all in this. We're all in the water energy in this read. You're not alone. You call out to each other in the dark. So while you're independent, there's still this need to communicate back and forth. Okay. Another wands. Okay, I just saw that because I flipped it out. You stay there for a minute. Six of Wands. A card of victory. A card of attention, like all eyes are on you kind of thing. It's another wand energy. King and Queen of Wands. Six of Wands. It's a card of balance. It's a card of success, of being seen. Neither of these guys would worry about being seen or seeing each other, But there is some implied thing of like coming out of the isolation and being seen for what you've accomplished. Which may be the absolutely amazing feat of meeting your match with so much love, such a depth of feelings, all for each other, and yet still able to maintain this independence. Isn't that the best of both worlds? Quite literally, the best of both worlds. And that kind of, the watery energy of the moon is really well balanced by this take charge energy of the King and Queen of Wands. And there's something like that's the success, is being able to blend those two things. And that's, it sets you forward into the next stage. And when I flipped the deck, this was there. There she was, strength. Which always speaks to me of a supportive dynamic, of mutual compassion, trust, of a synthesis of some kind, within and without you. And it's falling on Hermit. So this is the within you. And this would sort of be the without you, outside of you, between you and somebody else. Strengthens the bond. Because this is a bond. It strengthens the bond, and the bond strengthens both of you. The bond. On Hermit. So we have Virgo, Leo, we have a bunch of fire energy. We have Pisces. Energies. Let's see about the independence. This Nine of Pentacles. Having everything you need, Pentacle energy, resources, time, money, space, the ability to invest in yourself. She has a hawk in her hand. So it's not like she's entirely alone. It's come and landed in her hand. There's something about that. A bird in the hand. Okay. This is on the independent energy. Well, it looks to me like this is inspirational, fast moving. In the element of the King and Queen of Wands. Sometimes people say this is a card of, passion as in kind of player energy. I don't see anything that supports that here. It isn't independent. We've seen independence come up a bunch. And with strength, it's a card of Leo, which is also a fire sign. So things are heating up. But there is that water energy of the moon and of water finding its way. And this, I'm reminded, this is trust, I said, mutual trust, radical trust. Radical trust, water finds its way. Whatever this partnership is, you're mirroring each other, you're matching each other in terms of your purpose and your passion and your life force. You're in this kind of communication, both in Wands energy, like you're present for each other, but you're also in the mystery, calling out to each other. Call and response. Okay, and another fast-moving energy, but this time in sword energy, in the realm of communication, understanding, idea. I think somebody's trying to communicate something. Or address something. It's interesting because this is the first sort of slow it down card we've had. It's Four of Cups. And it goes on Six of Wands. So I'd say it's a victory, Six of Wands, over this sort of, it's not here complacency. I don't see it. And in this case, it shows somebody actually asleep. But what was it I said a minute ago about, the liminal space where you're not quite asleep and you're not quite awake? That's this. And in that space, the thing is being offered to him. And this would be like, you're taking it. You're taking it. Both of you. Something about being seen. Which is interesting because this guy has he's got his eyes shut. So whatever, there's some way in which you're being seen, yeah, I've lost the thread. I don't quite know, but it's like You can feel each other, you love each other. Cups energy. Even when I close my eyes, there's some 80s song about, I don't want to miss a thing. I can't remember, but, and this is like, you've closed your eyes, you're not missing a thing. The love is coming into you kind of via that liminal state where you're not quite awake yet. You're not quite awake yet. You're still in that lingering, in those swimmy subconscious feelings, dream state. Lucid dream kind of a thing. Lucid dream. A lucid dream. You're awake within the dream. I've had a couple of those, and it's wild, because you become aware that you're dreaming, and then you can begin to kind of steer it. They say if you're having a lucid dream, you can know you are. One of the clues is that everything becomes very detailed. You look at something and you could see every facet of the weave of the material or the veins in your hands. There's just suddenly things seem hyper real. And then if you think, oh, this might be a lucid dream, you're supposed to start jumping up and down, to try to get off the ground. And I did that once in a lucid dream. And as I jumped, there was a mirror and I could see myself. I couldn't see myself, then I'd jump and I could see my face, and then I couldn't, and then I could see my face, and I couldn't. And in the mirror, I looked healthily chubby. And in fact, in real life, I was horribly thin at the time. And in the mirror, my hair was long. And in real life, I had practically shaved my head. I was down to it at 1/4 of an inch. And so there was something about, I didn't look the same in the mirror, but it was giving me a glimpse of a sort of a healthier self, of a restored self, where I had skin, skin on my bones, fat on my bones, and hair on my head, and things were back in growth. So tell me more about this 10 of Cups moon, this watery energy, this love energy, this calling out to the other entity in the dark. King of Swords. Kind of a balancing energy. This is the overview. This is the more logical, analytical. I look at it from above to get the picture. I look from it from above. And this is kind of like, I look at it from the dawning consciousness. It isn't even quite even conscious. This is like hyper-conscious. Wide awake, clear as a bell. And that usually, I don't want to say has a cost, but haven't you ever had those dreams where you just don't, you wake up and you just think, oh shit, how can I get back into the dream? How can I get back in? I've got a weather eye out on Rue who's getting ready to sniff the candles. So tell me about Queen of Wands, her intuition, because Moon, she's right next to Moon, which is a highly intuitive card, both of them. If the King of Wands knows where to go and what to do on the basis of just his own drive, his own life force energy, I'm gonna act. She's more, I know it, but on the basis of my intuition, not on the basis of anything happening outside of me. I mean, not in a selfish way, but just, well, she's kind of the Nine of Pentacles, independent individual, and follows her intuition, and is supremely comfortable in this intuitive. I'm not, it's not that I'm not awake, it's that I am able to live in that liminal space between waking and dreaming. And I don't think this guy can live in the liminal space between waking and dreaming. And maybe I'm misjudging King of Swords. Let's see. What is the Queen of Wands intuit? What intuition is she getting from this moon place? That's a lot. It always seems like a lot. Well, it actually is a lot. So we have the sort of stress, the contentious situation. The winner takes all. Not good sword energy. And it might not be like one person is the victor, the other guys are the losers, but it might be more like, can speak to sort of a post-traumatic stress, because it's a mental energy that's come after a battle. They've been at it. Somebody's been at it. Somebody's won, theoretically. Other two guys have lost and are leaving the field. But I don't think it's, victor or victim. Being in this kind of battle is hard and it hurts. It's a trauma. If you have to beat the hell out of somebody to, I don't know, get your point across or fight the good fight or whatever it is still is going to leave like a mark on your brain. And it's on what is she intuit? Well, I don't really get that. Let's get some more. She might be intuiting somebody's hurt. Six of Cups. Somebody you already know. I mean, these two would definitely know each other and they'd be soulmates. In the sense that they're aligned. They're a match. And this would suggest for a long time. You've known each other for a long time. And loved each other for a long time. And it's a connection that probably had to adapt. The other thing I wrote down, which for some reason is coming up right now, is course correcting. Because if you've known somebody for a long time, it's dynamic. It doesn't stay the same. But you both kind of, while the feelings aren't identical at all, they've always been about love. There's always been a desire to connect, and it goes way back. Five of Swords, Six of Cups. Almost looks like this trauma, this strife, this stress in the head is healed by the heart. By this, because who would you have unshakable trust in? This radical trust that strengthens you both, that saps neither one of you in this kind of a relationship. It's always been about love. Which begs the question, why the strife? Why the stress? Why Five of Swords? It's like your head has been in there's some traumatic head injury. There's something where communication got one-sided, because that's another meaning of Six of Swords, Five of Swords. But this is anything but one-sided. This is two-sided. I'll say, we got the lovers, the big connection, you know, watched over by Archangel somebody. And this is sort of like the mirror image of the Devil card. And in this one, the angel looks suspiciously, I mean, the head's on fire, you know, he's surrounded by fire. It's a card of passion and connection. It's a Gemini card. Air sign. It's also a 6. So we have this is a major arcana 6. This is the 6 of Cups. And while this isn't a Cups card, it's a card of ultimate connection. It also indicates choice. And it seems to me in that capacity, it's choosing to connect. You know, there may have been this sort of strife situation, largely involving a clash of ideas or words that may have been hurtful. But, you know, 6 of Cups, like, you come back into connection. It's almost like with our best friends of the heart, 6 of Cups. You can do this. You can have the contentious thing and come back together, and you're still okay. You have enough of a basis in trust to come back together. In a major arcana way, together. So Queen of Wands has this intuition that whatever has been hurt can be healed. That this connection is just not going to be threatened, because it's the major arcana's lovers. By comparison, 5 of Swords is like a skirmish in the locker room or something. I don't know. It's not the predominant thing. Okay, we have 2 more here. Wow. We have Hangman as the first one I saw. This getting the new perspective. And it's a hold up of a kind while you're gaining the understanding. Emperor, divine masculine. Like this King of Wands energy, in the same fire element. I know what to do. I'm stepping up. Rue, what are you doing? She's under the table making mischief. This is the person taking responsibility. Taking the role to make it stable, to make it run smoothly. It's not like Mussolini making the trains run on time. It's like the benevolent dictator who's gotten a new perspective, who's ready to see the other. The benevolent dictator, the dictator doesn't worry too much about the other guy's perspective, but this is the energy of just that. I'll see it through your eyes. Whatever this structure, this is how we make it work element involves seeing it through the other guy's perspective, which is exactly what 5 of Swords kind of isn't. That's the inability to communicate, to understand each other's swords energy. But this is a relationship that goes back so far. You really do speak the same language. On that heart level, you care about each other. You really care about each other. This is that match. King of Wands, Queen of Wands. And I'd venture to say it's also a match both in terms of your intellectual, your overview clarity, and in that heartfelt wands, what I'm drawn to, what I know in my heart. This is sort of what I know in my head. So you have both here. You have both. You've seen it from the other guy's, each other's perspective. And I need one more on this Emperor, because that's such a, it's a card of control, of leadership. Can you tell me about the Emperor, please? Well, we have already Moon card here, which is sort of the divine feminine principle. Oh, geez, sometimes they just don't want to separate. Maybe that's the thing. Don't want to separate. Two of Swords. Again, the sword energy can be being of two minds. It can be taking that break, Hangman, to understand something, to make a choice, lovers, to make a choice, being at a crossroads, being of two minds. And with this person blindfolded, holding up the swords, it seems to me, I mean, it can be just a block, but I think it's more like, because there are an awful lot of wands on the board, intuitive energy, moon energy, almost like I'm blocking my my logical brain. I'm going blindfolded. Radical trust. How do I make this decision? Well, not with my head, with my ultimate heart. With this person for whom, you know, I can't help but see it from their perspective too. Because we're a match. King of Wands, Queen of Wands. Strength. We're a match. We make each other stronger. And the last card in that sort of trio is Justice. And this is that cerebral energy, but just balanced, clear, fair. And in a funny way, this speaks to balance too. The Two of Swords. You know, being of two minds, but it's almost like in considering both things. Your perspective and the other guy's. Because, you know, that's your dynamic. Six of Cups, Major Arcana, Six of Lovers. You are in a dynamic with somebody that is so important. You know, you trust each other, you support each other, you make each other stronger. You're both independent and connected. There's this Ten of Cups, you know, everybody's, it's the love that, you know, it doesn't just stop at the two of you. It's like your love sets up an environment where this can happen. That height of feelings. And yet sort of maintaining a clarity, an overview. I'm surprised Star hasn't shown up here, because I get that feeling of this sort of clarity of here I am, and I've arrived at the place that I wanted to be. And whatever it is, it's balanced. You've weighed up both sides. You've seen it from both perspectives. Libra energy. And Emperor would say, in this choice matter, I know what the choice is for the greater good. And this is sort of like for the greater good. And I'm going to act on it. But this is also sort of the two sides, the balance. Two of Swords is like the two sides. Hangman is the two perspectives. This is coming up with something that's balanced and fair. And true. It's true. We need one more. I'm still a little puzzled by the presence of this Emperor, because it seems to me everything else on the board speaks to the two people, the two perspectives, the two people in Six of Cups, the two people in Lovers. And maybe it's something like, with this also independent energy of Hermit and Nine of Pentacles. There's a kind of overriding keeping it together. Because Emperor makes sure, like, things run smoothly, things are fair. One more, please give me because I feel like this is an awfully sort of cerebral, it looks one-sided and it's not, according to everything else on the board. Tell me about the Emperor. Who's he bossing around? What's that about? It's about a choice, like Lovers, like Two of Swords, weighing something up, getting the momentum to make a choice, the dance of change. There's a Page of Cups, the new love, the young love, the love offer that's new, choosing to make a love offer. And it's that thing about water finds its way. Maybe once the decision is made, because justice is also the decision, the fair decision, having weighed it up. Having weighed it up, considered both things. It's kind of a love reset a little bit. Oh, wow. 5 of Wands. At cross purposes. Everybody trying to work something out. And it may be an apology, Page of Cups, for this 5 of Wands. I mean, the other 5 we saw on the board was the 5 of Swords, which is the contention that almost caused post-traumatic stress. And there's an apology for that. Like on balance, because this is a card of imbalance. Everybody's pulling in a different direction. And I'm sorry for that. It's like a peace offering, sort of. And Tower. The fact that everybody wasn't on the same page might have caused the whole structure to destabilize. But Emperor would be all about, we rebuild this. I know how to do this, you know, to regain the balance, to re-enter into equilibrium. And the tower, you know, is the necessary change. Because something has been outgrown. And it might be, I mean, because fives indicate the need for change. 5 of Swords, 5 of Wands. Well, this is radical change. And course correcting and overcorrecting, this would probably be a kind of an overcorrection. Or the need for like such a dramatic course correction. And I mean, would you need the new perspective after this? There'd be no old perspective after this. It's an epiphany, it's an enlightenment that just moves you forward in a way that you can't, it's kind of, there's no turning back. And there's nothing in here to me that indicates you would want to turn back. The need for change. Well, you got it. Dance of change, 2 of Pentacles. Got to change up this sort of, well, it's also a card of practice. It's sort of play fighting. It's working out how to do something. And there's something in this that says, you know, we're not alone. We're doing this together. Whatever this whole new way of being, we're both leaving. This is a sort of shedding of the skin. We're both exiting the constraints together. Yes, out the window, you know. It's not like taking the escalator down. But there's this dynamic that, you know, this is courage. This is like the courage to do it. Because you're with somebody. The courage to do it. Because you're together. Because you trust each other. I think that's it. I mean, I don't know. Okay. That makes sense. Huge transformation. I mean, hot on the heels of Tower. And there's something about righting an imbalance. I'm hearing righteously righting an imbalance by taking action on something. And Tower always is going to cause the big transformation, isn't it? Because something's being taken down. You know, something's ending, something's over, and something new is beginning. And we had that new love. And I see it as kind of a comfort. Like, we can do this. You know, we've got the old love. We've been at this a long time, maybe over lifetimes. in this dynamic of we're together. We see it from each other's perspectives. We take each other into consideration. You know, we'll leave the constraining place together. Maybe on the basis of our own independent Nine of Pentacles, Hermit, reflection. We'll both decide to leave this place together and transform. I think that's it. It doubles down on the idea that this is not destructive. It is the end of something. But it's the rebirth of something new. And this is the rebirth. And in order to both go out the window at the same time, you know, and trust you're going to land, it does take radical trust. Something will catch us. And it's like the right move. It's the right change at the right time. You're at a crossroads. It's the right time to transform the whole situation from the ground up and find stability, the new stability, by accepting change. I like that. You know, stability doesn't mean it's all written in stone and nothing can change. I mean, that's not stability. That's a kind of real death. The new stability and it is new. I think, yeah, I mean, you best be ready for the lightning bolt to strike, for a major shakeup that's going to bring on major changes that are brilliant, but that may involve this tad of post-traumatic, I mean, because to get blown out of the tower, you know, it's for a greater good, it helps us rebuild on a stable foundation, but in that moment of like, out the window, it feels like this. It's a mind, what's a polite way to say it? It blows your mind. But ultimately brings clarity. And this overview, we are connected. There's no arguing that in this reading. There's no arguing that. And it's passionate, mutual, trusting, intuitive. The list of, the beat goes on. And full of change. Fives speak to change. Five of Wands, Five of Swords. Change of direction, that ability to pivot, and a change of your thought process. You're incorporating the other guy's perspective and coming into balance. And whatever this relationship is, you know, it not only sustained you in the past, it will sustain you in the future. Wands are about forward-moving energy. It will sustain you going forward. It will sustain you. And you each other, right? Lovely dynamic. Yeah, thumbs up, peoples. There's my thumb. Thumbs up if this resonated. It really is helpful when I see, occasionally on a video, you know, it'll be 1, 2, 3 thumbs up, and then suddenly there'll be 10 thumbs ups, and then I kind of get it that I'm connecting on the other end with y'all. Love ya. Like, share, subscribe.